Hey guys, are you ready to transform your mind so you can transform your life? Coach Myrna brings you one-on-one coaching and expert guests weekly to help you to grow. Because happiness is the progressive realization of a worthy goal.
Looking for personal growth? Let's do it. Isn't that the sweetest sound? That's the sound of another sale or another dollar hitting your Shopify e-commerce store. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. It's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Sign up for $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/transform, all lowercase. Let me tell you about a cellular service that's saving me money every single month, and that is Mint Mobile. I switched to Mint Mobile a few months ago, and honestly, I wish I had done it sooner. But we were locked into a plan paying over $100 per month. With Mint Mobile, you get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. Yes, you heard that right. With unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data on the nation's largest 5G network. This year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get this new customer offer and your 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/transform. That's mintmobile.com/transform. Now, you also said about the Hashimoto's. Can you explain to me and the listeners what's the difference between low thyroid and this Hashimoto, or is it the same thing?
Yeah, so I'll answer the first question about the testing. Most of the time, when you go to the doctor and they test your thyroid, they're usually only testing one marker, which is a TSH. That stands for thyroid stimulating hormone. It's actually not even produced by the thyroid, it's produced by your pituitary. But that is the way that you classically diagnose, do you have low thyroid or hyperthyroid? And do you need medication or not? And that's kind of the extent that they look at to determine if you have a thyroid problem, which is what I can imagine. I didn't know to ask for my lab test at that time, a long time ago. That I can imagine all they ran was that TSH and said, nope, everything looks good. You are good to go, which I knew it probably wasn't. Now, there's actually 12 different markers that make up a complete thyroid panel that you can use to understand what is the thyroid doing and what is the actual thyroid physiology look like, because there's many different imbalances that contribute to a thyroid issue that are going to be missed if you just look at TSH.
Welcome back to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio, podcast, and television show. I'm your host, life coach Myrna Young, and sitting in the guest chair today is Dr. Heather Stone. Dr. Stone and I are going to be talking on the topic, your Thyroid Transformation Blueprint, the 7 pillars you need to know to bring your autoimmune disease into remission. Excellent, excellent topic. If you are troubling with any kind of autoimmune disease, or if you know someone that's troubling with autoimmune disease, then definitely stick through to the end, because we're going to be giving some great information on this topic. Welcome, Dr. Stone.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. All right, so let me give you guys a brief introduction. Dr. Heather Stone, DC, is one of the top functional medicine practitioners in the world. She has over 20 years of clinical experience in private practice. During that time, she has successfully helped thousands of women overcome the symptoms of hydrothyroidism and Hashimoto's thyroiditis. Her Thyroid Transformation Blueprint has been used by hundreds of doctors and thus has helped countless women return to happy, healthy, and lean lives. Her mission is to change the face of healthcare through her private practice, books, masterclasses, webinars, educational programs, and retreats on her ranch in Texas. Yes, I love talking to people who want to make a change in the world. That's my focus as well too. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you
Yes.
for that.
Yes, it's great when you want to contribute to the world and serve. It's excellent thing. Awesome. All right. So, as we get started, what inspired you to build a healthcare practice for women who suffer from low thyroid and Hashimoto's disease? Do you have a do you have a personal story that's tied to these two, um, um, challenges?
Absolutely. For me, I always wanted to be a doctor, but I didn't quite know what kind of doctor I wanted to be. And at the time I was trying to figure that out, I started to really suffer from a weight issue. It was really difficult to lose weight. I was tired. My hormones were a mess. I did not have a menstrual cycle. And this was when I was in my early 20s. And, I went to the doctor and I said, this was this was pre Dr. Google. So there was no searching online. You had to really search through textbooks. So I went and I said, "Hey, I think I have a thyroid problem. I kind of have every classic symptom in the book. Will you check my thyroid?" And he's like, "Absolutely." So he checks my thyroid and he says to me, I come back a week later or 2 weeks later or whatever it was, and he's like, "Yeah, your thyroid's fine. You don't have any issues with your thyroid." And oh, and as he's walking out the door, by the way, I think you're going to have issues with fertility. So when you're ready to have a baby, come back and we'll give you fertility treatment. And I was just like, what in the world? That was like no solution whatsoever. That was you're just gonna need me later down the road when you want to get pregnant with fertility issues. And so I was like, this is not gonna be my life. I have got to figure this out and really solve these issues for myself. And at that time, I did not have low thyroid. But as I was moving on my journey after the birth of my first child, which I had naturally, by the way, I did not have to have fertility treatment. I figured out, how to lose weight. I got my hormones back together. And then after the birth of a child, I actually diagnosed myself with Hashimoto's. All right. So then the whole thyroid journey began. And for me, I just knew that there were millions of women who needed help with this. And these women are being told that they are just supposed to live with these symptoms. You have a weight issue, you can't sleep, you're tired, your hormones are out of balance, anxiety, depression. Well, there's a pill for all of those things. And then they're just told, well, you're just going to have to live with it. So for me, I was like, no, we need to empower these women to take back their health. The body was born to heal. And if you just help the body, sometimes it needs help overcoming these underlying imbalances. And so that's what really drove my mission and passion to really go in this direction.
Oh, wow. Yes, that's amazing. Now, you said that when even though you're having these issues with, period and weight gain, your thyroid, when they checked it, it was normal. And I think I've heard that several times where um uh, it says that your thyroid is normal, but there's another test that they can do or something to really figure out what the problem. Now, you also said about the Hashimoto's. Can you explain to me and the listeners what's the difference between low thyroid and this Hashimoto, or is it the same thing?
Yeah. So I'll answer the first question about the testing. Most of the time, when you go to the doctor and they test your thyroid, they're usually only testing one marker, which is a TSH. That stands for thyroid stimulating hormone. It's actually not even produced by the thyroid, it's produced by your pituitary. But that is the way that you classically diagnose, do you have low thyroid or hyperthyroid? And do you need medication or not? And that's kind of the extent that they look at to determine if you have a thyroid problem, which is what I could imagine. I didn't know to ask for my lab tests at that time, a long time ago. But I can imagine all they ran was that TSH and said, nope, everything looks good. You are good to go, which I knew it probably wasn't. Now, there's actually 12 different markers that make up a complete thyroid panel that you can use to understand what is the thyroid doing and what is the actual thyroid physiology look like, because there's many different imbalances that contribute to a thyroid issue that are going to be missed if you just look at TSH.
Mm.
Now, your second question was about Hashimoto's, and Hashimoto's is an autoimmune condition where the immune system makes antibodies to tag your thyroid tissue for destruction. So essentially, your immune system is destroying the thyroid. This is really important to understand because about 90 to up to 98% of women who have low thyroid actually have Hashimoto's. Now, the reason they don't usually ever get checked for it is because even with the diagnosis of Hashimoto's, the treatment doesn't change, right? If you go to your doctor or endocrinologist and you say, "Can you check me for Hashimoto's?" They'll be like, "Yeah, you have that." Yeah, you we know you have that. Like, what's
Funny.
the big deal? Like, yeah, you're gonna have that, because so many people do, but it doesn't change treatment, so they don't really talk about it. But in the functional world, it makes a huge difference because when you have one autoimmune disease, you're at risk for developing multiple autoimmune diseases.
Yeah.
And with Hashimoto's, you're at risk for developing thyroid cancer. So for us, we want to say, all right, you have an autoimmune condition. What do we need to do to stabilize and balance your immune system so that you can put Hashimoto's into remission? So that you don't develop other autoimmune diseases and thyroid cancer. And so we dig a lot deeper to understand what are the underlying triggers that might be causing the immune system to attack the thyroid. And so the treatment looks totally different from a functional perspective. But classically and in traditional medicine, when they look in the toolbox, all they have in the toolbox is thyroid hormone, right? So that can increase and decrease and increase and decrease the meds, but that's kind of all that they have at their disposal to help people with low thyroid.
Wow. Yes. And do you think that low thyroid is probably responsible for a lot of the weight gain that we're seeing right now in the world?
Well, I would say it plays a part because essentially your thyroid hormones regulate your metabolic rate. They regulate how quickly you make energy. It regulates, your all kinds of processes in the body. So the thyroid is extremely important. And you have to ask a deeper question though, like if you do have low thyroid, why is that, right? If you have autoimmunity, what are the underlying triggers? And I would tell you that probably a very close tie, first and second, is insulin resistance and blood sugar. That really impacts our weight, but they are closely connected. Your thyroid is impacted by insulin resistance. Your body will slow down the metabolic rate, which impacts your blood sugar and the thyroid. So like if you took the symptoms of dysglycemia just means you have dysfunctional blood sugar. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have prediabetes or diabetes. It means that your blood sugar is out of balance. If you take the symptoms of dysglycemia and you take the symptoms of low thyroid, they're pretty much exactly the same, which is you are tired, you have fatigue, you're not sleeping well at night, you have weight gain, you may have anxiety and depression. So they're almost exactly identical. And I think that insulin resistance gets downplayed a lot until it becomes diabetes, but it gets
Diabetes.
downplayed, yeah, and we don't really look at, okay, what do we need to do to optimize blood sugar and optimize insulin levels? And at the same time, when you do that, you're going to be working to optimize your thyroid and your blood sugar.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, and as you were talking, it's really interesting. One of the reasons a lot of these things are misdiagnosed in the traditional medicine world until you go to the functional medicine world. I've had a lot of interviews with functional medicine doctors, and they look at the whole body. And just like you
Mhm.
said, if one part is not working, then it's affecting the other part. You talked about
Yeah.
insulin resistance, and I need to bring up that those symptoms that you're talking about is when you have menopause or premenopause or a whole bunch of other things. They're all
Yeah.
still tied together, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's important because in our traditional system, the way that it's set up is to separate you into parts
Yeah.
and pieces. But the body doesn't work like that. And I think, it's unfortunate because when we get diagnosed with low thyroid, it's like everything is looked at like a thyroid problem when the body is working like all together. And when you are in a certain phase in life, like premenopause, perimenopause, or postmenopause, it's like, oh, well, that's why you have those symptoms. We're like, well, probably not why we have those symptoms. So what is the actual cause of those symptoms? And I think that is probably one of the biggest things that people comment on is like, I've been going from doctor to doctor, and each doctor looks at a different part, but they don't look at how all of the parts are working together.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of
That's
crazy
functional
how
medicine.
quick,
Right.
yeah, how quickly hormones respond and react. Like so fast, we can't even comprehend how fast a hormone responds with the whole body. It is so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really interesting. It's great. Um, uh, yeah, I've got to go back and have them do that full panel of mine because they told me my thyroid is fine. But yeah, I've been battling weight issues myself and insulin resistance for a while now. But they all put it down to you're aging, menopause.
Yeah,
It's
that's
I
exactly
probably will go
right.
back and have them do that full. I don't even know. Is the traditional doctor can do that, or do I have to have a functional doctor to do the whole panel?
I would say this, most traditional doctors are not gonna do a full panel. Why? Because they get too much pushback from the insurance companies. Secondly, a lot of them aren't trained to understand how all of these things work together and what these markers are. Like I will have people that follow me go to their doctor and say, "Can you run these labs?" And they said, "Well, why? I don't even know what half these markers are, and it doesn't really change your treatment. So, I'm not going to be able to do that." And so we get a lot of pushback from the system. So, whenever I was running a lot of these labs through insurance, I was getting hate mail from insurance companies telling me not to order these labs unless I had a specific diagnosis code to go with all of these different markers. And I think, as doctors, we are under a microscope when we try to expand and look at the whole picture. And it's not just about the thyroid. It's like you said, looking for underlying infections and looking for all the different causes and being able to put these patterns together.
Yeah. Let me tell you about a cellular service that's saving me money every single month, and that is Mint Mobile. I switched to Mint Mobile a few months ago, and honestly, I wish I'd done it sooner. But we were locked into a plan paying over $100 per month. With Mint Mobile, you get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. Yeah, you heard that right. With unlimited talk, text, and high speed data on the nation's largest 5G network. So, this summer, say bye bye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with your existing contacts. For a limited time, Mint Mobile is offering 3 months of unlimited premium wireless service for $15 a month. So while your friends are sweating over data overages and surprise charges, you'll be chilling, literally and financially. This year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get this new customer offer in your 3 month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/transform. That's mintmobile.com/transform. Note, upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. I've been an entrepreneur since early 90s, even winning the Entrepreneur of the Year award. But when I first thought of starting my business, I had the passion and the vision, but zero clue where to start when it came to selling online. This is where Shopify can help. Shopify helps you set up your digital storefront.
Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US. From household names like Mattel and Drew House to brands just getting started. Whether you're selling physical products, digital downloads, or services, Shopify has everything you need to launch, manage, and scale your business. Shopify is also packed with helpful AI tools that write product descriptions, page headlines, and even enhance your product photography. Get the word out like you have a marketing team behind you. Easily create email and social media campaigns wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. And best yet, Shopify helps you transform your business with expertise in everything from managing inventory to processing returns. So, if you're ready to sell, you're ready to Shopify. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for $1 per month trial period and start selling today at shopify.com/transform. Go to shopify.com/transform.
It reminds me of I read Dr. Atia's book on longevity, and in there he talked about all these tests that you should go. And one of the things he said is that go to your doctor, traditional doctor. I don't have a functional medicine doctor. He said go to your doctor and ask them to run your hormone panel. And my doctor said my primary care doctor says, well, I can't read those, so there's no point in me pulling them.
Yeah.
So then I went to my OBGYN and I asked him to pull them, and he says, well, why? I know what it's going to say. You're in menopause. There's nothing I can do about it. You know what I mean? So I understand exactly what you're saying. You get this pushback, which is why functional medicine doctors are becoming the norm. So it's pretty good. You guys are doing an excellent job in helping with the longevity and helping with total health. And I think what's the word now that they have? It's not a long life, is health span. Yes. Having a
Yeah.
great health span and not just longevity. You want to
Well, I
want to
think
live
it's
longer, but you
important.
also want to be healthy, right?
That's exactly right. And I think it's important. Like traditional medicine has a time and place. And I think ultimately they're great for diagnosing disease and giving a medication or a surgery or something like that. And if that's the type of care that you want or need, it plays a role. But if you are trying to optimize health, like you're talking about, improve your health span, and really, I think that we are changing as a society. Like, no longer is it acceptable for us to work our lives away until we're 65 and then retire and sit in a rocking chair and watch TV all day and go to doctor's offices. Like that is not what our lifestyle is like anymore. It's like, okay, when we retire, if we retire, we want to really enjoy and thrive in this life and live it to its fullest and have experiences and be present and maintain cognition and mobility. So I think we have a different expectation than maybe generations before. Now we have to look at how do we optimize health, not just how do we slow down the progression of a disease. Like that's not even for us it's
Right.
that's outdated thinking.
Yeah, that's pretty good. All right. That's my focus. I walk every day and I look after my total body health, and I do that because I want to be active in my old age. I don't want to be laying in a bed. I've had so many of my family members that, me had strokes and lay in bed, being fed to a tube, things like that for 10 years. And I'm hoping that that's not my experience. But and I'm doing something about it. All right.
That's right.
Right. So, what is the difference between Hashimoto's versus hypothyroidism?
Essentially, Hashimoto's causes hypothyroidism, right? So the immune system attacks and kills the thyroid to the point where the thyroid can no longer keep up with thyroid hormone production. So, most of the time, like 90 to 98% of the time, if someone has low thyroid, it's Hashimoto's. It just started many years before you ever got diagnosed with low thyroid, because it doesn't really, they're not like looking for it unless you actually have low thyroid. But hypothyroid is usually caused by Hashimoto's, the underlying autoimmune issue. There is a small percentage of people that just might have low thyroid where their thyroid's not producing adequate levels of thyroid hormone, but most of the time it's autoimmune.
Right, right. Okay. Yeah, as you were talking, one of the most famous cases of low thyroid is Oprah. She's been battling with weight for many, many years. And I think later on, maybe when she got to her 60s or something, then they diagnosed her with low thyroid. But you're right, all along, and she's got money to have great doctors. Probably even had a functional medicine doctor on her team, but they missed that because it's usually missed. Okay, so now I understand the correlation of that. So would you say if you were trying to lose weight and can't lose weight, or some of the other symptoms you're talking about, depression, anxiety, then you should investigate the thyroid deeper?
Yes, and you should really investigate all systems deeper as well, and maybe from a functional perspective, right? Because, like I said earlier, it could be dysglycemia, it can be low thyroid, it can be underlying infections, it could be adrenal dysfunction. So, it's really important that you first. And this is really good. We talked about, we were going to talk about the blueprint. So, this is a really good time to kind of bring this in. So I created a thyroid transformation blueprint. And the first pillar is that you have to have a goal, right? Like you got to have the goals that you're trying to achieve, and you have to have a constant pursuit of those goals. And I think you're a life coach, right?
Yeah.
So you have to have motivation behind the goal. It can't just be like, I want to lose weight. You got to think about why you want to lose weight. Why is this important to you? So that you have a deeper meaning behind that goal so it's easier to stick with it. Then the second pillar is to have comprehensive testing. And comprehensive testing means to look at all things, right? Not just the thyroid, but yes, you need a thorough look at the thyroid, but really looking and taking a very deep look at all of the systems and where are all of the underlying imbalances. And then pillar number 3 is a comprehensive diagnosis and analysis. So it's not about just diagnosing the disease for a medication or a surgery or like a medical treatment, but it's about understanding the patterns of dysfunction and how everything communicates together and how everything works together. Then and only then should you apply the solution, which is pillar number 4, customized care. A lot of people, you have to do these in order because a lot of people say, okay, I want to lose weight. So I'm going to go try this diet, or I'm going to try this medication, or I'm going to try this supplement. But we have to understand that weight or the inability to lose weight is a symptom. So you have to figure out what's the underlying cause to why you can't lose weight. Otherwise, we're just guessing. And then we get on one fad diet after another, one fad supplement. Trust me, I've been there. I've done them all.
Yeah.
But if you
Me too.
find out why you have the weight problem, then you can customize care and you say, okay, this is what's contributing to the weight issue, and here's how I'm going to handle these things, and this is the solution. That way, you know that you're going to get the fastest possible results, and you're not really guessing. Not really. You're not guessing, and then you can. Pillar number 5 is that you need a coach, and you need to be coachable. And then pillar number 6 is retesting. So once you've applied a solution and the body's moving in the right direction, you need to retest and make sure that the priorities might have changed so that you can adjust the care. But those are the 7 pillars.
Wow, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yes, I probably need your services because yes, I've been trying to lose weight for a while. I'm even on a GLP-1, and the weight is just stuck there. It's up with my blood sugar, but the weight is just stuck there. So, I just started progesterone therapy because I'm hearing that the hormone imbalance is part of it and all that. But you're right, it's just guesswork. Nobody has gone into
Right.
a full panel of figuring out what the problem is, because I'm in menopause. They're just assuming that's menopause. So I started with the progesterone thing, and let's see what happens with that. I just started it about a week ago. But
Yeah.
I love your pillars. I love, going through, and I like what you said. I mean, some people want to lose weight because they want to look good in their clothes, but I mean, I'm not sure when you're coaching them if that's a good enough reason. I want to lose weight and I want to stay healthy because I want to have a health span, right? It's very important to me
That's
to be able
right.
to walk every day. I love walking. I walk a 5K every day and it gives me so much pleasure.
Yes.
So I,
Yeah, and I would say go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, no, the goal of wanting to lose weight so you look better in your clothes is not a good enough goal.
No,
80% of Americans are overweight, obese, or severely obese. And it's like we all want to look better in our clothes, but we talk ourselves out of it every day. Like it's like, oh, this little bit won't hurt, and maybe I'll just start tomorrow, and then
yes,
I don't look
yes,
that bad in my clothes. So we just keep going down that path. But like you said, like, for me, my big motivations is I will do whatever it takes to prevent Alzheimer's and cognitive decline.
yeah,
I've worked with patients like that, and I see how tragic that is for the families and for those patients.
yeah.
And also for me, I'll do whatever it takes to prevent diabetes. I do not want my legs cut off. I do not want kidney failure, blindness. So there is a way deeper motivation because I think we forget that what we do today is really determining what is going to happen in 5 to 10 years from now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I say that all the time. Peter Attia's book brought that home, but he's saying that, yeah, if you've got heart disease in your 30s or 40s, it just didn't start then. It started 20 years ago.
Right.
Yeah. So you're saying 5 or 10, but he's saying 20 years ago. And, I see, people right now that are overweight. And I'm thinking, okay, you're overweight in your 30s. You continue doing that. When you get to 50 or 60, I'm not calling bad things on you. But when you get to 50 or 60, you're going to see the repercussions of what you're doing now. But a lot of times when they're 30s or whatever, they discount that because they're young, and they don't see the damage that they're doing. So yes, I love your pillars. And so right. So out of the seven that you just talked about, what are the one or two that you feel that are most important?
Um, well, I would say uh, they're all equally important. However, what I would like to highlight is probably also the pillar number 5, which is you need a coach. I think all the most successful people have coaches in different areas of their life, whether it's a life coach or a financial coach or a business coach or a fitness coach, however you want to call it, a personal trainer. But I think if you look at the most successful people, they all have coaches. Look at professional athletes. They all have multiple coaches,
Yep.
right? So, I think that that is important. But then the other one is part of that is that you have to be coachable.
Right.
I think there's two parts to that, especially in this space of low thyroid, because most of us have been so frustrated with the traditional answers and the traditional kind of feeling blown off, or they feel like they're looked at like a hypochondriac. They're like, your labs look fine. I don't know why you're like this. Here, take all these pills. And so we start searching and trying to figure it out on our own. And it is hard because right now we live in a sea of information. When I started, remember I said it was pre Dr. Google. So I had nobody I could ask except for like a textbook. So back then, we did not have access to information. Now, as the decades have gone on, now we almost have over information. We get confused. It's like one day this is the answer, and the next day that thing you've been doing isn't the wrong answer. Right? It's like, oh, we thought we could eat this, but now we can't eat that. Now we should eat this, and oh, now we can't eat that. But I think it's important if you have a coach to really help customize the recommendations based on you, your health, what you're dealing with, and to drown out a lot of that noise that we're hearing on social media. Now, I would say this. it's been a blessing for functional medicine and allowing information to come out that might have been suppressed earlier. But now we have to sift through the information and try to determine what is going to be best for us. So having a coach, but um, also being coachable, and implementing the recommendations and sticking with it and not, hopping ship like the next Instagram trend.
Yeah, that's good. I like when you say coachable. I mean, a lot of people would say they're coachable because they accept what you're saying. You go into a coach and the coach says, yeah, in order for you to lose weight, then you've got to eat this, or you've got to move, or you've got to
Yeah.
maybe meditate or something and de-stress, right? And you agree with that. But when it's time for you to do it, you're unmotivated, which is basically what you said. You need to be able to motivate yourself as part of step
Yep.
one, because you know that you should be doing these things, but you don't have the energy, or you don't have the motivation to do it. And that's why the gyms, people go in and they sign up, and they go for a couple months and then they stop going. And I know how easy it is to slip into that. Because let's say
Yeah.
you're going for a walk. I mean, like I just mentioned to you, I walk 6 days a week. But if I am away for a week or something, then you might say, maybe I don't need to go this day. And as soon as you start skipping, you know what your mind does? Your mind tells you don't need to go. And that's how you stop doing these things. So not only you've got to be coachable and got to, accept the information. My husband is one of these people that says, I'm not going to listen to you because you're trying to sell a book, or I'm not going to listen to you because maybe you're trying to, you know what I mean? He discounts things.
Yep.
And I hear everything. I accept everything. You know what I mean? I sift through it, and then I find, I accept everything. You know what I mean? So you're right. The coachable mentality is very important. So
Yeah. One of the things I want to mention too is you have to build up your motivations much higher than the temptations, right? So, whenever I'm looking to accept somebody as a patient, we go through motivations, and I talk about, what are you passionate about? What do you love doing? What are you living for? What is it that you're trying to prevent? Like, how is your life going to be different when you do achieve those goals? If you've lost your passion, what would you want to be passionate about? And so, like, I really try to build up those motivations so that when there is a temptation, they're like, oh, that doesn't serve my goals. It's not what I'm motivated by, so that
yeah,
I can easily say no to that. And building dream boards, having it in front of your space. I write all those things down for patients and they get a copy of it. Like, being in the presence of your motivation, at all times, it makes it so much easier to stick with it.
yeah, that's pretty good. Do you find that you're more motivated when you have a diagnosis? Like, for instance, there's people, you just mentioned that 70, the number is going up. It was 70% before. You just mentioned 80% of Americans are overweight. And they're not doing anything about it until maybe they go in and get that diagnosis. Do you think are you seeing that's when they're motivated?
Yeah, and I would say this, as, human beings, we're motivated by fear. All
Mm,
right. So if someone is fearful of the complications or of the disease, that will get them to actually change.
right.
I really work with patients to determine if I can accept them into the practice by looking at, do they have significant symptoms that are impacting their quality of life?
Mhm.
That motivates someone to move, or a diagnosis where they have some fear, which it's unfortunate that we have to put ourselves in a place of fear or so much suffering for us to make changes.
Yeah.
That is the reality. Is like, most people, if they aren't in pain or in fear, they're not going to do anything to change their life.
Well, yeah, that's true. They say you got to hit rock bottom before you move, which is really, yeah, it's, when you're in the personal development space, you're not going to go there. And that's the space that I'm in. I'm not going to wait
Yeah.
where I can't walk to start. I see that.
Right.
I see the people. I says, you know what? I mentioned before we started that I'm in Florida. Everybody can go outside and walk in the sunshine. Nobody does it until one day you can't walk. And then I say, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
When you had the opportunity, then you didn't do it. I mentioned to you how much I love walking. That is my fear, that I'm not going to be able to walk. I'm going to have to sit in a bed. And so,
Yeah.
all right. So, let's circle back for a little bit. Let's say that you have this low thyroid, you've got the Hashimoto's, you have hypothyroidism, and you don't do anything about it. I know that people, they can take out the thyroid or they can give you medications. But let's say if you don't do that, what is the end result? What happens? Do you just get fatter and fatter? Do you get other issues, or what happens if you do not take care of it?
So one of the big things that we don't understand is, so a lot of people, when they're diagnosed, they say, here, you need to take this thyroid medication for the rest of your life.
Right.
And it's going to make everything better. So then they take it and it doesn't make everything better. It fixes their thyroid hormone levels, but they may feel better for a short period of time, but it doesn't make everything feel better. So they think that the thyroid medication isn't working or it's not doing anything. So they'll stop taking it. But one of the things that we have to understand is that one of the triggers that causes the immune system to attack the thyroid is low thyroid hormones. So if you don't take thyroid medication, or at least I should say, if your thyroid hormones aren't in good balance, then you're going to continue to fuel this autoimmune issue. It can turn into other autoimmune diseases and thyroid cancer. So it is very important that you get your thyroid hormones stable and normalized. Now, yeah, and also if you didn't do anything about it, you're going to continue to slow down your metabolic rate. So you're going to gain more and more weight. Your brain is not going to function, right? You're going to have decreased cognitive capacity and abilities. You're going to literally really impact your brain function. Think about it. Thyroid hormones regulate your metabolic rate. That means in your brain too. It's not just your body weight. It's your brain function. It's how well you can make energy and utilize glucose. A lot of people have issues with insulin resistance. And so the thyroid hormone is one of the only hormones that has a receptor site on every single cell in the body from head to toe. So if you have low thyroid, it's going to affect all systems, all cells, and essentially you're just going to have a very, very slow metabolic rate, including cognition.
Mm, yeah. Oh, I need to look into that.
Yeah, and I would
That is
say
probably
this, right?
something that I've been totally ignoring. I need to look into that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I would say this, that if you are taking thyroid hormones and thyroid medication and you still feel bad, right? Like it hasn't helped you with losing weight or energy levels, and you think it's not working, we just need to keep looking, right? Because your thyroid hormones may have been balanced, but you have some other underlying issue that's causing those symptoms. So remember, I said earlier that your body is born to heal. And so we are self-healing organisms. We don't have to think about breathing. We don't have to think if you have a cut. You don't have to think about that. You don't have to think about your heart beating. But there are times when there's underlying imbalances that the body can't overcome. And the way the body communicates with you to let you know is to give you a symptom.
Right.
So if we would look at our symptoms like blessings, the body is saying, hey, girl, we have some underlying issue here, and I just need a little bit of help fixing it so it doesn't become a disease. And so if your thyroid hormones are balanced and you have symptoms, we got to go to testing. All right. Is it a blood sugar issue? Is it underlying imbalances? Are your other hormones out of balance? What are your adrenal glands doing? So we've got to look at all of those different components and not just say, oh, the thyroid hormones aren't working. I'm just going to ditch that. I wouldn't advise that at all.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's definitely a good plan. So are you saying that in order to get the whole body system looked at, then they need to be going to a functional medicine doctor like yourself?
Yeah, I think you should have a good team of doctors, right? So you can have someone, if you want someone on your team that is a traditional medical doctor, and you should also have a functional medicine doctor. So that you're preventing diseases, you're reversing chronic diseases, and you are improving your health span, not just handling a disease when it comes up with a medication.
Okay. So that's great. All right. So tell our listeners how they can get a hold of you. I know that you're in Texas. Or is your business online? Do you serve patients online? How does that work?
Yep. So, yeah, we are fully virtual. The way that patients can get a hold of us is through Facebook. So, I have a group called Happy, Healthy, and Lean. And at the time of our recording, there's about 92,000 ladies in there,
Wow.
all, working through these thyroid issues. And it's a really great place to go because you want to be surrounded by women that are on the same health journey, especially when you're trying to make changes. So, the Facebook group again is Happy, Healthy, and Lean.
Mhm.
And I do master classes in there, and that is the way that people can get through if they're interested in becoming a patient.
Okay. So that's great. So what's your website though, if somebody wants to go straight there?
Well, I don't really we really communicate all through Facebook. Now the website is reversemycondition.com. Yeah, but it's not it doesn't really serve that purpose, but all the learning content, material, and everything we do through Facebook.
Okay. All right. Well, I will have a summary of my conversation with Dr. Stone on the show page, which is myhubs.us. I will definitely link out to your Facebook group. Are you on Instagram at all or just on Facebook?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram as well at Dr. Heather Stone.
At Dr. Heather Stone. All right. So I will when I push out the marketing clip, I will definitely tag you and I will also add your Instagram handles to the show notes so anybody can and get in touch with you. And yeah, I'll definitely join that group myself and reach out to you because I'm thinking that I do have some underlying issues other than hormone imbalance, the sex hormones, estrogen and progesterone and all that. So I definitely like to look into that. So pretty good information to I have checked my thyroid and they've said it's fine. But again, now that you're saying a thyroid that's fine, it doesn't really mean that it's fine, right? Because they're not only checking the TS1. Um,
Yeah.
they're only checking that. That I know for sure. So, all right, yeah. So that this has been some good information for anyone that's listening. I've known a lot of people that've had low thyroid. I had a friend that had hers taken out. Then you're right. You've got to go on the medications for life. But what you're saying now is that is not the end of it. That is just the
That's
beginning
right.
of the whole health journey, understanding why that happened instead of just fixing it, right? And then forgetting all the
That's
other
right.
symptoms. So yeah, this is a great conversation on awareness. So that's pretty good. Okay.
Awesome.
Right. All right. Well, listen, thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode of Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life. Today we were talking about your thyroid transformational blueprint, the 7 pillars you need to know to bring your autoimmune disease to remission. And Dr. Stone went through the 7, but you can get much more information by joining her Facebook group. Almost 100,000 people on there right now. And you can join our Facebook group and get information, maybe on a daily, weekly basis, in order to help you with your journey. And that way you can also reach out to her and become one of her patients. So that's great. So as you wrap up, Dr. Stone, any last words?
I think it's really important for everybody to know that, just because you're in some phase of life or just because, it's your mom had it or grandma had it or somebody had it, it doesn't mean that your body can't heal. And I think you should really never give up. And it's always this health journey does not end until the last breath that you take. And so, we always need to do everything we can to strive for health, and your body can achieve it.
Yeah, I agree. And even if you're 70, you can start, right?
Even if you're 70. I literally just accepted 2 patients that were in their 70s this morning. So,
You're
and
kidding. Yes,
that's
I've heard that.
awesome.
Everybody normally thinks that when you get to 50 or whatever, you're done with. But yeah, people are making changes in their 70s, so it's great.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'm glad. Right. So there's hope for everybody that's listening.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Stone. Thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, namaste.